mute my phone so it doesn't. There we go. Let's send the shit. So how's your day been, Cooper?
It's been pretty good, pretty productive. I mean, I woke up at like 11, but after that,
I was actually.
I even set.
Sorry, go ahead.
I even set my alarm to like 9, but then I still just woke up at 11. I guess it turned it off.
Huh. Oh crap! I didn't. Hold on. Before I say anything further, I gotta update all the shit. I forgot to update
the weekend.
Forgot to update what we were talking about. Okay, let's do tags real quick before I forget to do that. We've got blues, classical, country, electronic, hip hop, jazz. That's it. Hip hop.
That's it.
I'm gonna say hip hop.
This is not hip hop.
Okay.
Is there just a music tab? Alternative, maybe rock.
No,
rock might be the closest.
There's not.
There's not a rock one.
Rock.
There's jazz and hip hop.
Oh, there is rock. Why does it show so few when I hit music? What else did you say? Alternative.
Yeah,
no alternative. Indie.
Ska. Yeah, indie definitely.
No indie. Ska. No ska. There's skateboarding. Do you want me to put skateboarding? Isn't that what ska is short for?
No.
Ska isn't short for skateboarding?
No. Ska is short for ska.
I can't believe there's no indie, because indie games is a huge...
I am surprised. Even for music, even.
Yeah, should I take it improv? Do we do an improv show?
I mean, no, because we kind of read it out beforehand, so I'm not sure if we can call it improv.
There's not a lot. Automotive, should I? It is audio shop.
That is true, but I'm not sure if that applies.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know what else. There's not really... The tags are so terrible. Like, they should help, but most of the time they don't.
Well.
Electronic music? I'm going to tag it electronic.
Electronic, yeah.
Wait, why did it get rid of rock? There we go. Okay. All right. So, sorry, you were saying you woke up super late?
Yeah, I woke up later than I anticipated, but got some good work done. Did a lot of reading today.
I'd like to read more.
Well, I'm actually reading a pretty good book about China, and it's getting pretty interesting. I think I told you about that.
I don't think you did, actually.
Not. Reading a book called The Search for Modern China by Jonathan Spencer.
Nope, never heard.
Yeah, it's a good book. It's basically like a rundown of the history of China since the fall of the Ming Dynasty in like the 1600s.
Okay.
Up to like then modern day. This was in 1990, so up to 1990.
Yeah.
Talking about how the progression of China and the whole central hypothesis is the fact that Jonathan Spencer's definition of modernity is like a country that's comfortable with its identity, but also willing to incorporate parts of other identities, right, to like build upon itself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's arguing that current China is not modern in that sense, since it's a little unsure of its identity, given its like turbulent history in the last century. He's kind of outlining that since the fall of the Ming Dynasty. Yeah, so interesting read.
Sounds kind of boring, if I'm being honest, but to each their own.
The way he writes is a lot more interesting than it sounds.
Yeah.
It could definitely be a lot drier.
I think I might have to turn you down. I forgot I might have turned you up yesterday. What are you at? Nope. I turned everybody else down. That's what I did. I was like, oh, Cooper's really, really quiet. Well, I'll just turn everybody else down and then turn my computer volume up.
And that's one way to do it.
Well, because your volume is constant across all different Discords we're in. So if I mess with you somewhere else, then it screws it up for this. And then the way I have it now is whenever we stream, it just works. So I don't want to have to screw with it every time. And Matt, I'm saying electronic because it's got synth in it. That's the only reason.
It does have synth, which is technically an electronic instrument. Actually has quite a bit of synth.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a synth album by any means,
but not at all. But we'll get to that later. I was helping Jonah with some emote stuff earlier.
Remote stuff?
Emote.
Oh, emote stuff.
Impressing him with how quickly I could turn around what he was asking.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, it was all just minor editing things.
Okay.
Like that new emote he sent.
That Bellsprout?
Yeah. The dude sent it to him without a transparent background for some reason.
Yeah.
So I just made it transparent really quick. And then I made the 3 sizes that he needed. And
man, you really are the best mod.
I mean, we were just talking.
No, but it's true.
Oh. There was a big-ass bug on my floor earlier.
Was it a spider?
No, it was like a centipede.
Oh, God.
Except it was one of those ones with the really long legs. That I really did not like that.
What, what are they called? Silverfish?
That's probably what it was. But it made me realize...
those are creepy.
Because I'm sitting right next to my garage, right? When the wind was blowing yesterday, it was actually pushing my garage door.
Uh-huh.
And it was like... I got in my car to go get groceries, and there was flashing light because the wind was pushing the garage door open because it was so strong. So I realized, this door I have to my garage isn't an exterior door. It's just an interior door. So there's a giant-ass gap underneath it. So just anything can come in out of the garage.
Huh.
So I'm probably going to try and seal that door.
That might be better than just letting Mother Nature take its course in your apartment.
I mean, the garage is pretty well sealed. Like the garage door is like a weather garage door. It's like super insulated. It's not just a thin sheet of metal or whatever.
Right.
But the downside is I do have to heat and cool my garage. But if I seal somehow, the issue is the carpet goes like right up to the underneath. I wish there was just like a little bit of tile, because then that would make it easier, but I'm going to have to figure out how to do that.
You can always get a nice, what is it called? Caulking? Caulk gun? Would that work?
Well, I can't do that underneath the door. I have to go out that door.
Oh. Just use a window.
No, but I could get one of those, I was already looking at getting something to keep the cold air from coming in. Like a little doorstop thing, but they make the ones where it goes under the door and has like a cylinder on each side. And that's probably the best way to do it.
Okay, that might be the way to do it then.
Yeah.
You can always ask your apartment complex. I mean, this is their building, right?
Yeah.
They might have a fix for that, so you don't have to spend money on it.
Well, I mean, they're like $12. So they I'm guessing they probably do not have a fix. Also, they're like completely shut down right now. They don't have anyone in the office. It's all like if you call them, Google forwards it to somebody else's phone number or something so they can work from home, which is, I appreciate they're doing that for the staff, but they've had the office closed down for a while now.
I guess that makes sense. But still.
Yeah. I was just talking to Jonah and Carmen beforehand to maybe make sure you have a week or a little bit more food on hand, because I think the supply lines are going to start shriveling up here.
I mean, those aren't shutting down. It's not like grocery stores are shutting down at all.
Well, it may when... I mean, we're currently... I did say 2 weeks. I have 2 weeks of food. But we're at 20,000 new cases a day, and that's only going to go up. So I think it's going to get a bit more crazy.
I mean, compared to... That's... we're reaching just about China levels now that it went down after they did their isolation thing. So I don't think it's going to get that much worse.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, bold of you to trust the Chinese statistic reports, but...
well, the same thing has been shown in like Italy and Korea too. So,
well, Italy took a very hard line stance. Florida isn't doing anything. Mississippi isn't doing anything. Florida actually has left almost everything open.
Well, if it does cripple our entire supply line and we go back to being an agriculture society, I'll message you, Sam.
Okay. I'm just saying, I just bought some extra rice. That's all I'm saying. Just have a little bit of something on hand.
I buy groceries every single day just to get what I'm going to eat that day. I waste so much gas money.
I'm not saying to be a doomsday prepper. I'm just saying there's going to be another run on grocery stores. So maybe just have like, you know what? I'm running kind of low on flour. So I'm going to get a bag of flour now. So
I'll buy a bunch of tuna. Then I'll look like poisoning. A king. Die. Don't need food if you're dead.
Taps forehead. You eat flowers because they're high in nutritional content, Jonah.
Jonah does make a good point, though.
Well, it's a good thing. I should have tested this before. It's a good thing we're live because there was a OBS update. I didn't even check to make sure everything was still okay. Whoops. But it seems like we're all right, so. I noticed because all the little icons for the sources changed. Or I should say there are now icons for sources. Before there weren't.
Icons for sources.
Oh, and I'm going to have to... All right. Do you want to get started? I did not... I just instantly hit live. I didn't do any of the setup things, so you're going to have to do the podcast introduction while I fix the scene.
Yeah. How about this? Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another week of the Audio Shop Podcast. You're joined again today by me, Cooper, and my co-host, Sam. And this week we'll be talking about Contra by Vampire Weekend.
By the Weekend?
No, the Vampire Weekend.
Oh.
They are very different. Yes, this is a podcast because we're hosting this from our pads.
I mean, we've made no changes. We do the same thing. We're not actually in the same room. I was talking to somebody when we first started. A couple months into it, I think, when I was at home still and you were still at Purdue. And they thought I drove up to Purdue every weekend to do the podcast with you.
Live in person?
Yeah.
We could only afford one microphone.
God, no.
Yeah, no, it's all online. But this weekend, we are reviewing Vampire Weekend, their sophomore album, Contra.
Because last week, I thought The Weeknd was Vampire Weekend. And after listening to a full album of theirs, actually not too far off.
Of Vampire Weekend?
Yeah, they're pretty similar.
To The Weeknd?
Yeah. Style-wise.
No. really not at all.
No, yes, style-wise.
The Weeknd. Hip-hop alt artist is the
I'm saying
same as
if you break
Weekend.
It down to its base level.
They are both songs, yes, with lyrics.
Let's get into the history a little bit. So Vampire Weekend is a indie rock, in quotations, because I would not consider this rock in any sense of the word, band that started in 2006, but they actually didn't release their first album until 2008, which was the self-titled Vampire Weekend. They saw pretty much immediate success too, which is pretty crazy. Contra is their second album, which we already said, and it came out in 2010. And the three singles were Horchata, Cousins, and Holiday. And as soon as the album came out, it hit number one on the Billboard Top 200. They're actually still going to today, but they haven't released an album since 2011.
That is factually incorrect.
That's what the wiki said.
No, they released an album in 2013 of Modern Days of the Vampire Weekend, I think. And then in 2019, that was Father of the Bride.
Well, then somebody hasn't updated their wiki page.
No, they have released multiple albums since this one. Yeah, no, it's right there on the first paragraph, Sam.
I don't read.
Okay. This is why I do the history.
Yeah, I'm not used to doing the history.
I thought you were a fan of theirs, but...
No, I'm really not. I told you I'd only listened to one song.
Well, it was from this album.
Well, I stand corrected. It was 2 years later in 2013. Their fifth album, they announced in 2014 and then have never released. So
they released an album in 2019, so it's probably just a change of projects. Yeah, hopefully they release another, because there was a bit of a break between the third and fourth album. This is the second album. That's what we're talking about.
Are you talking about Father of the Bride, which they re-released?
It wasn't I mean, it was just released last year, so.
Oh, they started. I'm thinking because they started it in 2016. I think they started it and then changed directions midway through.
And released Father of the Bride.
Yeah. But yeah, they've not released a whole lot of music for how long they've been around.
What, 4 albums over
15
years?
15 years. That's not a lot.
It's not prolific. But they definitely are at least approaching a household name, I'd say.
I would completely disagree with that.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that Vampire Weekend is underground. Like, a lot of people have heard of them.
I would definitely not say they're underground. I would just say they're like, oh yeah, that was that band that we listened to. I can't speak for their more current music, but they definitely feel like a 2000s band.
They are definitely a 2000s band. And we'll get into that more in the review.
But we can jump into track number 1 then if you're ready. Actually, there was a fun fact. They got sued by the model on the cover of Contra because they didn't pay for the photo.
What, they just slapped it on there?
Yeah. They also played in support of Obama's re-election, and they played at a Bernie Sanders rally in 2016.
Huh. Well, there you go.
The more you know.
I mean, I for some reason, I don't get from their music that they'd be Republicans.
Yeah.
We're being honest, but
we can start off with track number 1 then.
Yes, track number 1. Horchata. I could go for some horchata right now.
That sounds so good.
Oh.
But no, go ahead.
Oh yeah. I'm completely new to Vampire Weekend. Like I said, I've heard their name before, but I never sat down and listened to their music. So I was caught by this. This first song's got a very mellow, almost like a tropical vibe going to it. Like tropical as if it was filtered through an Ivy League school, but still,
yeah,
still almost island-esque. Very bubbly, and kind of plinging all over the place with some sort of. I'm not sure if it's glockenspiel or xylophone. Marimba. There it is. That probably adds to that kind of island feel.
Yeah.
It's kind of combined with this synth and clap drums in the back. I wouldn't say the backing instrumental in the song is sparse, but it's definitely subdued, maybe is the word.
I would definitely say sparse. This song, we were talking about this last week, but it feels like another case of being offensively basic. It's just kind of there's not a whole lot there.
I'm approaching it more from it seems a little more deliberate. You've got some interesting instruments. Deliberate. Oh.
You can deliberately have a song that's a single droning note, and that doesn't make it a artistical masterpiece.
That's true.
I think the biggest issue that this song has is he sings different verses, which of course don't make a lot of sense, but he uses the same melodic line throughout. So he's just singing the same melody over and over, which gets really repetitive. On top of this extremely basic backing track that's just marimba and drums, it doesn't really do a whole lot for you. It does have some strings that come in later, but they sound almost digital because they don't really ring. It's either that or weird filter, but I don't know. It feels like I'll get into it more later, but it feels like they don't allow themselves to do more than a couple instruments in the background on any song.
Yeah, they definitely don't go they're not blowing out the speakers on any of these songs. I think it works for this one, honestly. It's a very eclectic mixture of instruments. Like I said, that marimba, then you got the synth and the strings. They all kind of wrap together as the song goes along.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works pretty well.
I'm going to have to completely disagree.
I'll have to disagree with your disagreement. Because, honestly, it's not something that's super grand, but I think it adds to a very mellow, laid-back feel that I enjoy.
Yeah, I'll definitely say it's laid back. If you were, this is, again, something to have on a nice sunny day or something like that. But it's... I don't know. It's I'd like to listen to some music that actually has some meat on the bones for once.
Meat on the bones.
We've been getting tossed the scraps of chicken bones recently.
I like to think of it more as lean meat.
I mean, you can call lean meat no meat all you want, but jump into track number 2 then.
Wow.
White Sky.
You're the one who suggested this album.
No, I said I'd listened to a single Vampire Weekend song in the past. And then I said, well, listen to the album that it was on. I've only ever listened to Holiday. That's the only Vampire Weekend song I've ever listened to.
Well, we'll get to that soon.
Yeah. But White Sky, it's, again, very simple
song
backing
number
track.
2.
Yeah. And it's complete gibberish.
What, as in terms of the vocals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of got the sense that there's some sort of general thing going on in this album, but multiple listens, I didn't really pick up on it. I didn't look up into what they meant, so I guess maybe someone out there has figured it out. But yeah, the vocals are, throughout the entire album, they're pretty serviceable. I'm not going to say they're mind-blowing or anything, but they certainly fit the mood of the instrumentals they're performing over. Whoever the singer of Vampire Weekend is, that would be an Ezra Koenig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the vocals are suitably kind of subdued as well, except on some notable parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's also a little more lean.
Yeah, it's somehow even more lean than the last one. I did enjoy the plinky piano, but the whole song kind of just feels like it's the intro to a real song. You know, it feels like it's leading up.
Yeah, like there's going to be more, but
there never is.
It's a not a significantly long song, so it kind of comes and goes.
Also, I'm really not a fan of that moaning singing, whatever that was.
Oh, on the chorus, that.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, there's a couple times the vocals come in. I'm like, he's doing something different. I'll give him that.
Yeah, it's definitely different. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's just not a whole lot there.
Well, it builds out a little bit, and I think in the last 45 seconds, the last minute, where the drums kind of pop off a little bit more, and the kind of breathy backing vocals come in. So I think there's a little progression there, or at least it fills out a bit more as the song goes along. I did not think it progressed nearly enough, but that's their style for sure. Jump into track and they stick to the style.
Oh yeah, they do. Jump into track number 3, Holiday.
Track number 3, Holiday.
Which is the only song I'd ever heard.
So now revisiting within the context of the album, has it improved the experience or unimproved the experience?
I used to have it on my iPod, so I listened to it a lot, and I think it's nice, but I think it might mostly be nostalgia. Because I'm pretty sure they have a rule of only allowing 3 backing instruments per song.
That's all they could fit in the studio.
Yeah. I like the guitar work in this one. The drums make it sound nice, but then you realize, wait, there's only guitar and drums. And then a little bit later, some bass comes in. But it's just, there's not enough, you know? It feels like a very solid foundation. You know, you move into a neighborhood and across the street is oh, coming soon, a brand new movie theater. You're like, wow, that's going to be so cool. And they pour this really big foundation and it's oh man, this place is going to be awesome. And then it just sits vacant for the next 20 years. It's just the base is there. I just wish they did more.
I do get, at least the styling to me is almost very, very near completion, demo tracks.
Yeah.
It's the skeleton's definitely there, and some of the organs and such, but doesn't, a lot of times it almost doesn't feel like a full song. Obviously, that's very intentional. I listened to, just to kind of prepare for this, I listened to the first album as well and their third album, and this is pretty much true throughout. Though their third album has a little more fuller music.
Yeah,
so I think it's very deliberate in their stylings. But so it's not an accident. So for better or for worse, they meant to do it this way.
Yeah, but you gotta think too, how much of it is like the product of the music that we enjoy, because this hit as soon as it came out, it hit number 1 on the Billboard Top 200. Like that means a lot of people were really liking it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, why? I guess is the question I want to ask.
I mean, it's easy listening. It's not unpleasant at all. It's very pleasant at points.
Yeah.
But it's certainly, I don't know, maybe they just kind of like the indie poppy feel to it.
I guess it is pretty, like today it would be, you would say hipster, but I guess at the time it would be indie. A bit more kind of out there.
Maybe they just like hipster shit more in the 2000s.
Maybe. That's also quite possible. I mean, it was 10 years ago.
No, that's true. It was a different time.
Different time.
Different place.
Track number 4, if you're ready.
Yeah, we can move on to California English. Oh, you can go first.
I didn't think he was speaking English to begin with. The words are they make so little sense. I honestly thought he was speaking another language for a minute. I just had such a hard time understanding him.
They've got some sort of vocal effect on them. I'm not sure if it's like autotune, but some sort of
it's
electrical.
Auto-tune.
Is it autotune?
It's really bad autotune.
Yeah, this was It was distracting.
It was like T-Pain autotune. Like,
it's not like he's a bad singer on any of the other songs.
No. I guess it must have been to be popular.
I think it must have been a stylistic choice for this song.
Yeah.
Though I don't think it pans out.
Yeah, it doesn't fit.
I mean, this one's definitely got a kind of a more plucky guitar lead, and like the backing beat's a little more frantic. But the song feels a little all over the place. Yeah. Like for me, the disparate elements of Horchata came together by the end.
Mm-hmm.
This one, they're just like, it's like whenever you keep some sort of juice or like marmalade out for too long, right? Everything like starts to separate.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like this song. Like everything doesn't quite come together.
Yeah. This is a very loose definition of a song. The backing is even more thin than anything we've seen so far. And there's not really any other instruments besides drums and some bass. Like that was it. There's a little bit of guitar, but I don't even count that because it was so staccato. Like you could, it was just like, and that was it. That was all the guitar you got every once in a while. So.
Yeah, no. I mean, they do include strings at like the 130 mark.
Yeah.
But even that almost feels like separate from the rest of the song.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to make of this one. It's like a weird little offshoot.
Yeah.
That doesn't really coalesce.
Yeah, it really does not. Jump into the next track then.
Track number 5.
Track number 5. Taxi Cab.
Taxi Cab. This one has a kind of very reverby drum backing beat.
Mm-hmm.
And some very understated strings and like synth in the background. Like super low key.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the piano work in this one. With you really had to listen for those strings. Like they were super faint in the background. And I actually think this is the one where the smooth backing really fits into place. Because he kind of brings his voice down and he's not so much scream singing.
It's almost he never scream sings on anywhere on this album.
Well, I wouldn't say scream
except maybe
singing,
the
but
point.
Pushing the edge of his vocal limit, I'll say.
Yeah, this one's definitely a lot more hushed.
Yeah.
Maybe is the word.
And then there's a harpsichord that came in at the 2-minute mark.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's very clearly harpsichord. I'm like, wow, they busted out the old harpsichord for this one.
However, immediately after that, there was the 3-note standing bass solo that goes on for like 30 seconds that I was not a fan of.
It kind of brought it back into the verse.
But it was 30 seconds of they played 3 notes 2 times, and that was the solo.
The things you don't say, Sam, are just as important as the things you do say.
Oh, shut up! This isn't the jazz or the poet club from Goofy movie. I'm not gonna give you some snaps.
That was the extremely Goofy movie.
Sorry,
thank you.
My bad. But yeah, this one I actually like this quite a bit until like the last 45 seconds or 30 seconds or so, because there was that standing bass solo, and then the song just kind of ends. It's like the song died. It was like, wait, where'd it go?
Yeah, it did peter out a little bit, but I wasn't super perturbed by it. Just because it wasn't like, if it was like a lot of energy that ended abruptly, maybe.
True.
This one was already just kind of drifting. But I never thought it felt like aimless or empty at any point. Just, at least not like California English.
Yeah. No, not at all. It's just the ending. I wish they had just done it a little bit differently, because the rest of the song was so good.
A little more definitive.
Yeah, exactly. Track number 6.
Number 6.
Run.
So Run definitely starts with a lot more energy.
Mm-hmm.
Got this kind of bouncy synth going on, I guess would be the word to describe it.
Yeah, it certainly has an interesting aesthetic, I'll say that. It's got a bit more going on than other songs, but for 4-minute runtime, it's kind of bare. It doesn't build really at all. It just kind of does the same thing over and over again, which, when you're only got 3 instruments, it kind of doesn't help it.
I think it builds a little bit. Like on the chorus, there's like those, not brass, but some sort of like electronic instrumentation of like simulating brass, that comes in. And then like at the 1:30 mark, some like sort of synth effect comes in. I think adds a little bit of more personality.
I was really, at the very end, I was really distracted. There was a very dissonant, like droning note in the background. Did you hear that?
At what point in particular?
It was like for the last 30 seconds.
I didn't notice that, but listening back to it now, I kind of see it.
Like, I was listening, and honestly, I was trying to write, I couldn't write anything else, because I was like collecting my thoughts from the song and starting to type them out. And as soon as that came on, I just lost everything. And I was like, what is this note?
I didn't even notice the note until you pointed it out.
That really got to me for some reason, but it was the terrible way to end the song.
The song did have a very abrupt ending.
Yeah.
Like super abrupt.
Also, who doesn't?
I do like the way he says "run" at 2:40.
Yeah.
Run. It's the most energetic performance so far on the album.
Exactly. I'm a bit more of a fan of what is it? The guy who did the History of the World, I guess, videos. His "Run" song.
Oh, he did a "Run" song?
Yeah. You'd recognize it if you heard it.
No, I do like running.
Well, don't do it now. Jump into track number 7.
Track
if you're
number
ready,
7.
Sir.
I am.
Cousins.
This one we're entering ska territory, I believe.
Yeah, I really wish you hadn't said that to me before this, because I couldn't think of anything but ska is made for white people, is what you said. That's the only thing I could think of for this song.
And ska's already made for white people.
I know. It was like, why did you say that? Now it's tainted my review.
But did you appreciate the ska on this one?
Yeah, I instantly was like, I understand why you said this. I really like the fast-paced guitar work on it. Because the song was kind of mellow but fast-paced. I felt like that juxtaposition worked really well. I really did not like when the singer was trying to do those quarter step notes, though. It sounds like he didn't practice enough. Did you hear that?
The quarter step notes? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that.
So you know how we've had this conversation a couple times before. It's been a while, but music from Europe and America traditionally have the notes are half step. So if you go to a piano, each note is a half step apart. And then some other cultures like Middle East, and I don't know if China does it at all. Middle East really does it though, and I think India does it some as well, is they have quarter step. And that kind of gives it that different vibe to it. I can't think of a good example because it's just, you don't experience it in European and American music. It's just a completely different note structure. But I really enjoy when they try and incorporate that in, because it sounds it's a new sound. It's a whole new note that usually no one ever uses. So Pratik says India does do that.
Okay.
And he might be able to have some good examples of that, but it just sounds different because your brain's not used to hearing quarter steps. It's used to hearing half steps. And there were a couple points in this song where he tried to do a quarter step and it does not work. He did not practice it enough. I think he only did it twice. There was a third point where he started to do it, but then stopped because he was missing the mark pretty heavily. But it took me out of it quite a bit.
I didn't notice any of that.
I'll go back and try and get a time signature for you so you can give it a listen. But it was,
I just appreciated the ska territory. It had a much garage rock feel to it.
Yeah,
a little more aggressive drumming and vocals, which I appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Had a little more edge to them, and also the bass was kind of going off a little bit in the background, at least a little bit more than the rest of the album.
A little bit. I was going to say I give them bonus points for they used bells near the end.
Even the end to really switch things up.
Yeah.
Right before it
bells
put over for
bells are the best percussion instrument. So.
Wow. Bold statement. For an already kind of short song, I'm surprised they switched up so late, but I appreciated it.
Yeah, it was overall a pretty good song. I understand why this was another one of the singles. Holiday and Cousins definitely have felt the most polished so far. I'm not 100% sure why Horchata was a single, but
I can see why. It's an enjoyable little ditty.
It was, but it was, compared to the other two singles, I feel like it was a bit more lacking. To each their own.
To each their own.
Jump into track number 8 then.
Track number 8.
Giving Up the Gun.
Giving Up the Gun. So this one had a very, very colorful beginning. I think very glitzy.
That's I said it a different way.
What'd you say?
I said this one reeks of 2000s music style.
Are you getting like Firefly?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's also influenced by, I think I just hate clapping in music now. I think Green Day ruined it for me. I think I just hate it.
So much clapping.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little clapping in this one. It's the only real prominent example on the album, though.
Yeah.
So if it's on one song, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not like the motif of your album.
Clapping. Green Day looking at you. And I gotta say, I was really worried before we got to this song. But thank God we got some glockenspiel on an indie rock album. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure they would have, gotten taken out back and shot if they hadn't put glockenspiel on there, but they got it in there, so they're good to go.
They did, finally. Whew. I was worried it wouldn't come through, but
why is there so much glockenspiel?
Because everyone loves the glockenspiel.
It was the worst instrument in elementary school, and everybody knows it. Everybody wanted to play the big ones.
Well, that's because you didn't have a trained professional. You get someone who knows the glockenspiel, then it really sings.
Sure. This one was pleasant, but no one's cruising around with this on blast on their radio. It's just kind of, it's something to have on.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more inoffensive ones of just kind of being there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it did have a kind of interesting synth and guitar breakdown at the 3-minute point.
Yeah.
Though I don't have too much to say about this one.
Yeah, it was 4 minutes, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a chunk of time. Almost 5 minutes.
Not a lot to say about it for being such a long song.
Yeah, I mean, I never got tired of it, but I wasn't super invested in it either.
Exactly, yeah. That's probably the best description of it. Jump to track number 9, then. The longest song on the album at 6 minutes, Diplomat's Son.
Diplomat's Son. So
I had high hopes for this one. I was thinking, they built pretty well on a couple of the songs. It's been kind of hit or miss, but they got 6 minutes, so they can't possibly screw it up. And I was correct. They the initial backing is nice with the little bit of synth, and then they build on it with piano, and then they build on humming, and then they build on strings, and they do it slowly, and then they just drop everything out, and then they do it again, and then they drop everything out, and then keep everything out. So it was, I don't know, this one, it was, especially, they had those really weird breakdown sections.
Yeah, there's a couple of those in this song. I mean, I guess it's 6 minutes, so they had the time for it.
But like at the 3-minute mark, almost exactly, there's a breakdown that I was like, oh, they just stuck 2 different songs together. But then the normal song comes back. The breakdown was not related in any way to the song, other than being on the same song. And then they do it again for the ending. It was a bit of miracle musical disease going on there at the end, for sure.
It's definitely a little bit of an odd like beat change going in.
Yeah.
I thought it kept things a little more interesting. Though it does kind of feel out of place on the song as a whole.
Very out of place.
I do like the chorus though. I think it's weirdly catchy.
Yeah, is this song about him screwing his best friend while high? Did you hear that lyric?
Is that what it's about?
Let me pull up the lyrics.
It's definitely about a diplomat's son.
I mean, yeah. But I heard that. I should have pulled it up. Diplomat's son lyrics. I definitely right at the end heard something about like hold on, let's see. That night I smoked a joint with my best friend. We found ourselves in bed, and when I woke up, he was gone. He was a diplomat's son. It was 81. I was like, hold on. That's a bit different than the rest of the song you've been singing.
Hey, maybe that's what it was about.
Yeah. They just threw that little line there at the end.
And I wasn't paying super close attention to all the things going on with the lyrics in this album. So I'd believe it.
And for being a 6-minute song, it's only got like 6 verses. And they're not long verses. They're pretty short. So it was, I felt like it was very lacking, especially with the random breakdowns that were nothing like the rest of the song at all. Which, if done well, is done well, but I don't think they did it well.
That's fair. It definitely was a chunk of time.
It was.
But I've definitely heard worse long songs.
That's true. It never hurt to sit through.
Nothing on this album ever offended me.
No, and it wasn't. I was a bit knee-jerk at the beginning, say it was offensively inoffensive. But it never got to the point where it was like, I'm sick of this style. Because they're constantly switching the backing tracks and the style, and everything's pretty fresh. So it never gets sick of it in that way.
And it is a rather cohesive album, I think.
I think being 36 minutes is the good... If it was any longer, I think that'd be way too long. I think a nice, short, tight album is good.
Yeah, which we can get to the last song of the album then. With track number 10, I Think You're a Contra.
Spelled incorrectly.
What year?
You are...
That's how it's spelled in the track.
Yeah, I believe it.
This is text speak. See, texting was really big back in 2010, Sam.
Now everyone, I mean, do you know anyone that texts like that? I actually type out full words.
Oh, I don't want to be seen as having improper grammar.
Yeah, exactly. But this one is somehow even more minimalistic than the rest of the album so far.
Yeah, very ethereal. Extremely sparse song.
It made it really hard to focus on, It just kind of forced your mind to wander. And then you're like, oh, I'm still listening to the song. And kind of snap back into it.
A very, very sleepy ending track.
But I think
I guess...
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think it's entirely out of place on the album. I guess if you're going to place it somewhere, you're have the album kind of end on this kind of sleepy note is interesting.
I mean, I felt like it was, of all the songs, I think it's probably the best one to end on. Maybe Diplomat's Son, but where else are you going to stick this one? Because this isn't something you throw in the middle. You could put it in the middle with some ramp down and ramp up, but the album's not really long enough to allow for that. So I think slapping it at the end is probably the best thing to do.
Yeah, it's definitely like the one that kind of trails off.
Yeah.
It just have some nice violins at like the 2:45 mark.
Yeah, it's got good structure. It's just a bit sleepy, which
very sleepy.
Depending on your mood, it's either a good or a bad thing. So
it's like I'm counting sheep.
Yeah, definitely fall asleep to it. But that's the last song in the album, Cooper.
Yeah, so, it's a pretty short one.
Yeah, a very short one. So what is your favorite and least favorite songs on the album?
Favorite? I'd probably have to say I really liked Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't expect it to get into ska, but it did, and I enjoyed it. Definitely a different. It still felt within their style, even if it was a bit more aggressive.
Yeah,
and I liked the change of pace. I also really liked Horchata as the opening track. I thought it was mellow and maybe I wouldn't say empty, but I kind of liked the more skeletal way it introduced instruments in here, kind of the disparate elements kind of coalescing together. What about you, Sam? What's your favorite tracks?
I think I'm gonna just have to say Holiday. I think a lot of it is colored with nostalgia, probably, just because I think I listened to it when it came out. But yeah, everything else is fine, but it's like that's the only one that I would put on like download, that I would actually listen to again. And again, it's probably because I'm looking at it through rose-colored glasses. So,
yeah, I guess that makes sense. That was the song that got you into the album.
Yeah. And what would your least favorite song be, Cooper?
Probably California English. Nothing really came together on that song for me. It's like a bad version of Horchata, and I don't know. It's like had like a weird frantic vacuum beat, but also was really like low energy and sparse. So I don't think it came together for me on that one.
I'm going to have to agree with you. My second choice would be Diplomat's Son, which was a poor choice for a 6-minute song, especially with just the random elements thrown in the middle and the end to kind of pad out time, which they didn't need to do because it was a 6-minute song. It's almost like they approached it with, let's write a 6-minute song. Okay, what do we want in the 6-minute song? And they're just trying to fill the space. So
a little too long.
Yeah, significantly too long. But I agree that California English is worse. And what about your final?
My final rating?
I guess I'll do the rating system real quick.
Oh yes, give a quick rundown.
Just so the people at home know what we're talking about. So here at Audio Shop, Cooper and I have been working on cars for a collective 85 years.
Between the two of us.
So we know a lot about cars. So we decided to base our rating system off of cars. So we've got Showroom, which is top of the line, cream of the crop. This is the car that you put in your garage and never drive. And if your children ever touch it, you beat them because that's your car and they're not allowed to. And then you got Scrapyard, bottom of the barrel. This is, the crap you find on your shoe and have to pick it off with a stick. And then it doesn't come off with a stick, so you just have to end up throwing your shoes away because it's that bad. And then we do high and low based on this. And it really changes with the day. One day it might be a showroom, the next day it might be a fixer-upper. It can vary.
It's just our opinion.
Yeah.
Fluctuates.
And I feel like we have to add the stipulation now, since it's shaped our opinion so much. It's really hard to get into Scrapyard now with how bad Imagine Dragons Origins was.
Should we just make that its own category?
Maybe we should just add Imagine Dragons Origins to the bottom of the list so we can start using Scrapyard
I feel
again.
like it's coloring the rest of the rating scale.
Honestly, I feel bad about giving anything Scrapyard because I'm like, I didn't get physically ill while listening to it, and that's the baseline now. But, we could figure that out later. But Cooper, what would you say this album was?
I'm going to give this album a high fixer-upper. I wasn't blown away by anything in particular by it. I kind of came into this album expecting Vampire Weekend to wow me a little bit. And I wasn't exactly wowed, but I thought it was a pleasant album all around. Um, and nothing. There's no song I actively like disliked. Even California English is just okay. But there's no song that I actively really liked. Uh, it's pretty across the board okay. But I think it's worth giving a listen if you like indie rock or have never heard Vampire Weekend, just to kind of get that sense of it. I don't regret listening to this album, but I recommend it to someone. So, I'm kind of middle of the road on this one.
Yeah.
What about you, Sam?
I'm going to give it a little bit lower. I'm going to say used rental.
So you would not recommend this album.
High used rental, maybe. Yeah, if somebody asked me, hey, should I listen to this? Probably not. I'd say listen to Holiday, listen to the singles. I think that's a good, a more flattering view of the album than listening to the album all the way through. I mean, if you really want to, it's 36 minutes. It's fine to have on in the background. It's nice, some nice pleasant chore music or something. But I don't know, it's just kind of there. So.
I think it's a little better than how you're coloring it. I don't think the singles are so far superb that they're not worth listening to the rest of the album. But I'm definitely not gonna say this is a masterpiece by any means.
I mean, unless I agree with what you're saying. If you're really into indie rock, yeah, absolutely listen to it. Vampire Weekend's one of the big names in that category. But if you are like, oh, I like rock music, indie rock, what's that? This is not indie rock. This is, I don't know what you would call this.
It's definitely got its own style. They got a personality that they stick to.
Lo-fi ska, maybe, is what I would call it.
A new genre. Wow, we did it, boys.
But it's, I don't know. I just feel like it's not good enough to push into that Fixer Upper, because Fixer Upper, I feel like I would still recommend you listen to it. And this one, I would just be like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say you should, but you could. So
I could recommend this.
Yeah.
As a nice mellow listen. I mean, it's 35 minutes. It's not gonna eat up an afternoon.
Yeah.
And even if you're just driving a car and just put it on, I don't think anyone would blink twice.
Well, I wouldn't recommend putting it on in the car because you're gonna have a hard time hearing most of the stuff over the sound of the road.
Well, just don't talk for 35 minutes.
And then if you're driving over a concrete highway, you're not gonna hear anything.
Oh, I only drive on wooden highways.
Okay, that makes sense.
I like the bumps.
You are from Kentucky, so
okay.
Well, that was Contra by Vampire Weekend. It was an album.
It was an album. Sure. We listened to it. Not, I can see why people would really like Vampire Weekend if you really like this particular style.
Yeah.
Didn't gel quite as much with me.
I find it hard to believe it hit number one, but 2010s were a very different time.
It was 10 years ago, over 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, because it came out right at the beginning of 2010. Well, we can pivot on over to the spare tire then, if you are ready, Cooper.
I am ready.
We've done our little review.
Yeah, let's do you want to talk about your spare tire first, Sam?
So I really don't have one. I haven't really listened to a lot of music. Working at home means I don't really listen to music in the car, which is usually the only time I listen to music, because otherwise I have to have a visual element to my stuff. I've been listening to quite a bit of Bloody Stream by Coda, which is the JoJo Bizarre Adventure opening. And I guess I've been, yes, Jonah's right, listening quite a bit of Carl Lo-Fi.
You can't throw that out.
But yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of music. Been catching up on some stream VODs pretty much has been my week, so. What about you, Cooper? I know you listen to at least 16 albums a day, so.
Well, I like to keep up on things. I got to listen to the new Childish Gambino album, which I thought was pretty all right. Not as good as his last one, Awaken My Love.
Was his last one the one that had This Is America on it?
That's a single. That actually wasn't
That was
released on an album.
Because I actually really enjoyed that song.
Yeah, that's a good song. It wasn't on this album. I was kind of surprised, but I guess he didn't want it to like eclipse the other songs.
Right.
Which, to be fair, it's very different than the rest of this album, so I can understand why he didn't put it on. This one's got a lot more. It's, I guess, a little more experimental. There's some like drone elements to it. It doesn't always gel together. At times, it kind of feels like a B-sides album, but I still enjoy some of the songs and would recommend giving it a listen. And I also listened to a EP by Haru Namuri called Love Theism. And it's like a kind of a Japanese rock album. And I'd also recommend that. Very pleasant.
That sounds nice. One thing I meant to listen to, but I didn't. Bob Dylan released his first song in like 17 years or something, was it?
I didn't realize Bob Dylan was still alive.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I read about it. I was like, oh, I should listen to that. But he was actually, in the news because he released his first. It's a 17-minute song.
That's wow.
So it's pretty significant. Let me pull it up if I can.
So that's a chunky song. That's basically just a EP.
It's not even. It's actually not even on his. Oh yeah, hold on. It finally just got added to his wiki. March 27th, so hot off the presses, he released a 17-minute track called "Murder Most Foul," revolving around the assassination of President Kennedy.
Huh.
It's his first original song since 2012.
Wow. Well, good for him.
So
I haven't listened to much Bob Dylan stuff myself.
It's not. He said they recorded it a long time ago, so it's not like he just sat down.
Oh, this isn't.
Yeah.
Quite fresh, but
I mean, who doesn't love some Bob Dylan singing along
to this song?
Yeah, he's not got the greatest singing voice, but he's fun to mimic.
He's definitely got a unique singing voice.
Yeah, that's one way to say it. But if you want to listen to a 17-minute track about the assassination of President Kennedy as sung by Bob Dylan.
I mean, I've always wanted one, but where do I find it?
It's on his YouTube. It's called Murder Most Foul. So I might actually give that a listen because a Bob Dylan song came on the radio the other day and I was like, how did this guy get famous? Like he sounds, he does not sing well at all.
I know his songwriting. He's more known for his songwriting than his
singing. Yeah.
Singing.
I was like, oh, this is kind of good beat. Who is this? And it was like, I'm singing. I was like, okay, it's Bob Dylan.
It's called brand identity right there.
I mean, I guess, but it's something, that's for sure. All right, well, that was Audio Shop Podcast. Cutting a little bit short. We hit the 9-minute mark. Cooper's got to go take a call, so kind of timed it just about perfectly there.
Yeah, it was a good time in here.
Yeah. But if you just tuned in, I know you haven't because we've been sitting steady at 5 for pretty much this entire time, and you like what you've heard, you can head on over to our YouTube when you just click the picture of Jeff Lynne below. And there we have an archive of every single podcast we've done. I was a little bit worried because I thought I had missed one, and then it had gotten deleted from the Twitch VODs, but I hadn't because we had taken a week off. So every single one is still on the YouTube. I'll make sure I'll upload this one right away. And then if you are watching on YouTube currently, we just hit up to 6. You should go listen to this on the YouTube. Yeah. I see you popping into chat. And if you're on YouTube right now and you're like, hey, I kind of like the sound of these guys, then every Sunday, just about every Sunday, at 8 p.m., we do a new album. And, if you feel like it, you can listen to the album ahead of time. And how do they find out about that, Cooper?
They can find out about that at our Twitter, at AudioShop14. We'll tweet out what we're listening to, and we usually always do it at Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. But if we change at the time, we'll let you know. And if you want to, you can give the album a listen beforehand, so you can know what we're talking about. So having to describe Glockenspiel, with words like for the 27th time.
Yeah, although we're still going to keep doing that.
We will. I'll never stop.
And I meant to say earlier, we've gotten our first YouTube comment from a real person in a very long time. There was a comment from Trapstar that got deleted, but I think they were just a repost channel. And then there was a comment from somebody whose name says sub to me that got posted the instant I set the track live, or the podcast live. So I wasn't too sure about that one either. But we got a comment from Tim, who said on our After Hours podcast, "Cool video, keep up the amazing work." So thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
I appreciate it. But anyway, that is the end of the Audio Shop podcast. Thank you all for listening again, and keep an eye on that Twitter for what we're going to be listening to next. Hopefully, it's a bit more in our wheelhouse, because the past two have been a bit kind of. And next weekend is our 20th anniversary. Yeah, we've been doing this for 20 whole years. No, the year anniversary, 1 year anniversary of the podcast. So we're thinking along the lines, maybe some gorillas, since that's what started all of this.
I was born to the gorillas, and I'm going to die to the gorillas.
Yeah. But thank you all for listening, and we will see you again next week.
Yes, see you later, shoppies.
See ya, shoppies. See ya.